Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Recha Kodash. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone, and peace and blessings to the elect. Now, this is some news concerning Russia. Pretty interesting one. Now, I think recently the U.S. gave the green light for Ukraine to strike Russian territory using American weapons, and in retaliation, all right, Russia is basically, as this article says, Russia warships steam from Caribbean as Ukraine tensions, or steam for Caribbean as Ukraine tensions go global. Okay, and this is from zerohash.com. Now, there's actually something I want to look up real quick. Let's see. Just taking a look real quick. All right. So it says here, in a show of force, perhaps prompted by President Biden's authorization of Ukrainian strikes inside Russia using U.S. weapons, a group of Russian warships is en route to the Caribbean. A senior U.S. official has told Mick Clachy that the Miami Herald, White House officials alerted members of Congress to the Russian move on Wednesday. Now, this is an escalation, all right, post what we've already been seeing between Russia and Ukraine, and the sort of little proxy attacks that the U.S. and NATO has been dishing out. But obviously, this, at least I don't think that this immediately means, Russia is about to do something like shoot a missile or something like that. I don't think that's the case here. However, this is still another step, another escalation to the ultimate World War III. Okay, and so when you see these articles, this isn't necessarily one to have you, running in the skies, but it is to make you a bit more somber, to understand that, hey, with each passing day, with each passing week, with each passing month, there's just more things that are happening, and they're all one step in the same direction, another step in the same direction. And we know that the destination of that direction is ultimately nuclear war. Okay, so as you are seeing, this is not unprecedented. However, you are seeing that these actions are, these little tit for tats here and there, are leading to more unprecedented actions. Okay, and yeah, that reality is going to be very real. The deployment signals Russia's capacity to operate globally while still fully engaged in its third year of war in Ukraine. This is about Russia showing they are still capable of some level of naval power projection, officials said. We should expect more of this activity going forward. In March, Ukraine claimed it had either sunk or disabled a full third of Russia's ships in the Black Sea. And this is also to let you know that don't put your mind at ease just because you hear Biden or maybe the chief of NATO or some country say, oh, we are refraining from taking certain actions against Russia or another opposing country because we don't want to escalate into a regional war or a World War III. Or don't let your mind be at ease, because even this example only goes to show you that they're not turning back. They say, okay, we don't want to escalate things. And then you have this situation, right, where they turn around and say, okay, now you have the green light to do something that originally we said we weren't in support of because we didn't want to escalate things. So they turn around and do the same thing they said they weren't going to do. Okay, it's all a tactic. So don't fall for it. CBS News reports that long-range Russian bombers will rendezvous with the ships for combined naval and air maneuvers. Such exercises are not without precedent. Russia conducted similar combined arms Caribbean maneuvers in 2019 and had a streak of sending ships into the Western Hemisphere at least annually from 2013 to 2020. Following the summer exercises, Russia is expected to engage in a worldwide naval exercise this fall. Yep, there you go. Another breaking news. Russian warships, including nuclear sub to arrive in Cuba next week. So yeah, it says the government says none of the none of the vessels carries nuclear weapons. Therefore, their stopover in our country does not represent any threat to the region. And exactly what I just said, right? It's all damage control. And there are a couple of movies. I can't name a few off the top of my head, but there are a couple of movies that show you exactly how these governments operate. And in those movies or TV shows, they show you how the whatever they release to the press, most of the time is 100% lies. But the reasoning behind why they say certain things is to keep people calm. And they'll show you that explicitly. Like, no. And meanwhile, these officials are panicking, right? They're stressed. They're like, yo, this is some serious shit. But one of the first things they always say is make sure the press does not put out any information about what's really going on. All right. Tell them to do this. Tell them to do that. Threaten them, interrogate them, do whatever you got to do, but make sure their mouth stays shut. Okay. Or release a statement saying this. But in actuality, this is what's really going on. So before the people actually see the real threat or the real danger of what's happening, it's much the situation has been exacerbated far too much to bring it under wraps, because usually what they hope for is we can mitigate this threat, we can sort of just diffuse it, we can bring it down and end everything without the people actually knowing what actually went on. But when they get to a point where they're like, oh shit, like people are going to find out anyway because this is how bad things are getting, that's when you'll start to hear more and more they start to sound the alarm using propaganda. So this is a tactic that they use. So that's why I said, don't let your mind be at ease when they come and tell you these things. You see some news and they're like, oh no, don't worry, it's not this, it's not that. It's a cover story. Okay. All right. The Pentagon is tracking a handful of ships and support craft that are expected to reach Caribbean waters in the upcoming weeks. U.S. analysts speculate that the flotilla will make port calls in both Cuba and Venezuela. Cuba's likely relish the opportunity to host the Russian warships. And yes, this is not unprecedented. It's happened before. The difference, though, is the environment, the setting in which this is happening. All right. And that is, we are now at a time where Russia is actually at war with Ukraine, right? At least as the cover story is. And the U.S. and Russia is in a mindset different than what they were in 2019 and 2013, 15, 14. They're in a different mindset now. Okay. So that's the difference. It's like what's a decent enough example? Maybe I don't know. Maybe you know, like this is random, but you encountered a lion, right? Maybe you took a vacation to like the Sahara or Africa, and they took you on one of those little excursions on the little truck car things, and you're going through, and they'll have the lion come out, and then they'll come and sniff around and hug all the people inside of the car. So maybe you had an experience like that and everything was all fine. And you're like, oh, okay, the next time around, the lion is back, right? The last time the lion, I know what it's like. This isn't something new. This isn't the first time a lion is approaching the car. But the difference can be, right? The difference that actually means whether you die or not can be, well, what if this time the lion is coming and it's upset and it's not fed and it's very hungry? See, yeah, it's coming to the car. This isn't the first time it's done that. But there's a different environment now. There's a different setting. Something has changed, which means that now there's a threat level, because that lion could be looking at you not like I'm trying to hug you or play around, but I need food. And the Lord just answered my prayers. He brought me a whole truckload. See? So when you deal with these kinds of situations, then this isn't the first time it has happened. Russia has done this and that before, but what is the intention now? The intention now is we're at a real, the reality of nuclear war is sounding all around the world. That's the difference here. Okay. So it says here, last year's docking of a U.S. nuclear submarine at Guantanamo Bay naval base ruffled feathers in Havana, with the Cuban government calling it a provocation escalation. Clearly, the Russians are unhappy, needless to say, with our support for Ukraine and support for our NATO allies, the official said. Last week, the Biden administration quietly gave Ukraine the green light to use U.S. weapons to strike targets inside Russia. And all of this is happening because Proverbs 21:1, right? The heart of the king is in the hand of the Lord. As rivers of water, he turneth it whithersoever he will. So the Most High has these angels working on the minds of these rulers to make certain decisions because there's prophecy that needs to be fulfilled. And that's exactly where we're headed. That marked a major policy reversal, as such strikes had previously been barred as too escalatory. So there's your example. So what changed? Right? What changed? And regardless of what changed, the fact that it did change is proof enough to let you know that, hey, you're dealing with potential nuclear war here, and you thought it was a good idea to go back on something that you barred because you feared it could lead to a major escalation. So what other things can you decide to end up doing if in the past you said you wouldn't do because you thought it would escalate into something else? Their thoughts are not their own. Ukraine has apparently wasted little time in exercising its new freedom, as images circulated on social media that appeared to show burning S-300 and S-400 mobile surface-to-air missile systems inside Russian territory. On Wednesday, Russian President Putin said he was considering some kind of retaliation in kind. If they consider it possible to deliver such weapons to the combat zone, to launch strikes on our territory, and create problems for us, why don't we have the right to supply weapons of the same type to some regions of the world where they can be used to launch strikes on sensitive facilities of the countries that do it to Russia? We will think about it. So, that's a threat for who they know who they are. Let me put it like that. Expect America's warmongers to shriek at Russia's upcoming Caribbean exercises, despite the fact that U.S. military forces routinely buzz by the territory or the territorial waters and airspace of Russia, China, and many other countries around the world. Exactly. So it's all fun and games when they do it to others, and the second it's done to them, it's all hell breaking loose. Well, all hell will break loose, right? According to prophecy. Matter of fact, there's one quick precept that comes to mind in the book of Revelation, chapter 11. I believe it's verse 14. Just take a look at that. Let's take a look at that thing. Yep, that's it. This is Revelation chapter 11, verse 14. The second woe is past, and behold, the third woe cometh quickly. And that's the main part right there. The third war cometh quickly. So this isn't going to be something that drags on for decades. No. All right. It's on its way and it's moving fast, which also tells us that everything else prophecy related is also going to move fast or faster. So as the Lord said, this is why it's very important to watch and measure the times diligently and pray, because we're talking about like real life things here. Okay, this isn't just something you read for fun. We're talking about real life things here. Anyway, with that, I'm going to end it here. Lord willing, that was edifying and informative to the elect. In closing, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rachak, Kodash. And until next time, Shalom.